Welcome back, everyone. Today we've got a different video. We're not going to be making a ring, but you better believe we're still going to be using carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is like favorite material of all time. It's awesome. We're going to be making a headphone stand, and I'm specifically making it for this pair of headphones. It should work perfectly fine for any other pair, but this is the pair that I'm going to build it for. We're going to use, this is a slab of carbon fiber. And by the way, check out my new materials website. It's just patrickadairsupplies.com. I'm gonna have materials like this, and then just a bunch of other stuff. So you'll have these slabs for doing projects similar to this. But this is also really good for rings. So you can cut, here's a ring I've got on. You can just cut cross sections out of this. So this is super handy for ring making, just other general stuff like that. So you can pick one of these up off of there. I've got all the different supplies that you'd need for anything else. So make sure to check that out. I'm really excited for that. That's one of the biggest things I'm wanting to do this year. And I'm really hoping we can get a bunch of you guys started on ring making. That's gonna be really cool, I think. So for the headphone stand, we're gonna start with this slab. And I'm thinking, I've got a big old diamond hole saw. And I think I'll cut out a circle so it'll have a circular base. And then we've got this carbon fiber tube here. So I'm thinking we'll have the circle here on this plate. And then we'll stick this stake in it right here. And obviously we'll cut this to length and then have it come out, give it a little hanger on here. I'll just sketch up what I've got in mind right now. We might change things up a little bit, but for the most part, this will be an overhead view. So I'm thinking it'll look like that. And then from the side, your stick going up, and I might make it like this. I might have the design of this just go straight. Depending on how well the headphones actually hang on here, I might have to give it a little more support here. If not, we can go for a more minimalist approach, but this is kind of the general idea I've got in mind. So we'll have the slab here. I'll do a side view as well. We'll have that coming up, and I think I'll have a seam like this on the tube. So I'll cut each of these out at a 45-degree angle, or if I'm doing it another way, like in the picture up here, we might have to do something else. But this is just kind of the idea. So we'll have a nice circular base, and then we'll have the carbon fiber tube sticking out of it here, and just somehow we're going to give it a hanger approach there. It should be a pretty simple and straightforward project to do, but it might take a lot of time to get like the bevels that I'm going to need to get really accurate on here, and then figuring out what adhesive I want to use to make sure it's really sturdy. So in theory, this is a really simple project, but there are going to be a few design challenges that we're going to have to overcome. But let's go ahead and get started, and we'll overcome as many of those challenges as we can as they come up. All right, we are down in the shop. We've got the carbon fiber piece here. I need to select a diamond hole saw. Most of these are teeny. I've just got a few of these big ones. I'm gonna take the biggest one I've got here, and that'll cut us out a base piece just big enough that it'll have plenty of support for the headphone stand. And then I'm just going to put it in the drill press, cut out a circle here. And one thing to note, you'll see I put it right up against that edge, and that gives an escape point for the carbon fiber dust to shoot out. That way it'll go a lot faster and we won't have as many overheating issues. If I were to put it right in the center, all that dust would just get stuck and just cause a bunch of problems. That's the reason why you see me get it so close. It's also good for saving material, obviously, but the biggest reason is because we want a nice clean cut. Alright, so we got the disc cut. It actually turned out a lot cleaner than I was even hoping for. It's just got a little bit of an edge you can see right there. So I'm just going to take care of that with a Dremel. That'll be super quick, and then we'll be ready to polish it up on the polishing wheel, and this should be good to go. Alright, so now I'm just taking the Dremel tool here. I've got a fine sandpaper bit on here, And then I will just go along the entire circumference of our disc and make sure we've got really smooth flat edges all the way around. And it's a little bit sharp right now, so I'm gonna do a very slight just hand beveling on it. And then we'll take it over to the polishing wheel, and that will take care of just making it nice and polished, shiny, and all that. Okay, that was pretty quick. Now we just need to use the polishing wheel, and this is going to be very straightforward. We've got the white polishing compound over here on the left. That's going to smooth everything out, make it a really nice surface. And then the green polishing compound here on the right, that's going to give it a really nice reflective, shiny polish to it. So, really simple. You just turn it on, get a little bit of the white polish on. And then I'll go around the radius here. And then I'll just repeat the same steps with the green. Okay, so the next step, we need to drill a hole in the disc here, and that will allow us to attach the rod to the base here. It'll stand up kind of like that. And so I've got two different sized ones. They're very similar. You'll see when I compare them, this one's a little bit bigger than that diameter. And this one, it looks almost exactly even. If anything, it's a little bit smaller. But what I'm going to do is use the small one, and it might not fit right away, but I can still easily go in and sand the end of this rod. And I'd much rather have a really nice tight fit than a loose one that we have to rely on the glue to hold it in there. And so that's why I'm doing that. It might be a little bit of extra work, but it'll be worth it. All right, so the hole is now cut. I actually went and tested it with the bar, and it fits in, and it's got even a little bit of room to spare. So I'm really glad we went with the smaller size drill bit, because if we use that bigger one, this would be, I'm sure, a lot worse. So I'll just use a bit of probably CA glue to fix that in there. But now I need to trim this down. It's a big long piece, and I've decided I want about an 11-inch section of this. So I'm going to... So I need an 11-inch piece on here. So just right about here. I'm going to nick that on my bandsaw blade. Just right there so I can know where that was. This will be really simple. I just flip on the bandsaw and then rotate the piece of carbon fiber, contact the blade until it just pops right off. Okay, so we've got that, and it's really starting to take shape. Obviously need to clean up this edge a little bit, but that'll stick right in there. And I've got another pair of headphones here so I can give you guys an idea. It just needs to hang right about here. This might be a bit long, but I made sure to leave some room for error, so I can trim that down later if I want. But I'm thinking that should be pretty good, actually. Okay, our next step will be to cut a little hole inside of the stake that we're gonna put in here. And here's the first practice I did so you can get the idea. That will go inside of this base here. And then I've got a skinnier diameter carbon fiber tube here. And then it just fits right in there. And like I said, we'll need to use adhesives for everything, but you kind of get the idea. It's just gonna be like this. We'll chop this off at about this point, I'm thinking. But it should be pretty straightforward from here on out. It's gonna look really cool, I think. So my setup for cutting the hole in the tube, it's actually pretty difficult to get it centered so perfectly on there, and it's just barely, this tube here is barely small enough that we can even do this. Otherwise it'd be poking out the edges of this and it would look bad, not hold together, all that. Luckily, this was just the right size that I needed. And you'll notice I'm using my mill for this step. I got away with using the drill press earlier because I didn't need it to be as sturdy. I do need the mill for this because you'll see it's just a lot more sturdy. Everything about it is built a lot better. So that'll really help us because we have almost no leeway with like run out or anything like that because this is such a close tolerance on here. So the setup I've got, I'm just going to take, this is the real stake that we're going to put in there. I've got these 2 metal blocks set up here. I need to put this down in. I want the stake to protrude about this far down. I'm going to do it really quick just to line everything up. Yeah, that looks good. Now I need to tighten this clamp. That'll hold this in place. Make sure this is really secure. And yeah, that has almost no flex to it. So this should be good. I'm going to make sure I got it set up perfectly off camera, so it should be good, but I'm just double checking because I don't want to ruin this whole piece. But we should be good to go here. All right, that was easy enough. Just need to undo all of these. I want to be careful not to scratch it all while I'm having it near the metal. Now I'll just do a test fit. That fits right in. So we're just got 2 more steps. I need to chop this off at the length I want, and then we need to put some caps on the ends of the carbon fiber tubes. We could leave it the way it is, but it looks a little bit unfinished. So my idea for that is going to be using some carbon fiber veneer. So this is just a really thin sheet of carbon fiber. What I'll do is just glue this here and then cut out the circle around it and then sand it so it's nice and flush. And that should give us a really nice finished looking edge to both of these pipes here. So I'll do that twice. But before we do that, I need to cut this piece down to the size we want. Thinking I'll want it to be about, let's see, maybe about 3 inches in total. Yeah, that should give us plenty of room. I'll maybe even do 2 3/4 of an inch on here. And then the process is the exact same as it was when we were cutting the piece earlier on the bandsaw, so nothing to go over. Got that, fits in here. There we go, that's perfect. So I will go ahead and put the veneer caps on here, and then we just need to glue everything together and we'll be done. Alright, so I put that carbon fiber veneer on both of the ends here. Just pure carbon fiber, 1 layer thick, so it's still flexible. That's what that was, in case you're wondering. And then I used my scissors to trim it the best I could, but it's still definitely got a really rough edge. So I'm gonna use the belt sander here, and then I'll just carefully grind that away. And I'm gonna hold it at an angle so that it leaves hopefully a nice little bevel on there. Okay, that was really quick, and these look really nice actually. It looks like it's a solid rod of carbon fiber. That's pretty cool. So these will fit together like that. Really nice finished look to it. We just need to glue this together and then glue this to the base, and we should be finished. Okay. Okay. All right, now to glue everything in place, I'm going to use this Gorilla Glue Super Glue. This is a thick formula because there's all this gap in here. That'll fill in that gap, make that a lot better. So I will, just gonna spread some on the inside here. Now this is my last chance to adjust anything, so I gotta make sure everything I do makes it all flush. Make sure this is lined up properly. Okay, that is perfect. I'm making sure this is standing straight up, and I'm gonna hit it with some super glue accelerator. I'm gonna hit it with a heat gun. Okay, that should be set. The underside still has a bit of goo on it. Awesome, okay, that's staying in place. That's really nice and sturdy. Now we need to set this one in place. Okay, last piece, doing the same process as last time. Thin bead of this thick super glue. I'm gonna slot it in here. make sure, I'm gonna put it at a slight upwards tilt. That way the headphones will tend to fall towards the base of this rather than fall off. And there we go. I kept everything super even, so even though there's some super glue that's squeezing out, it's really even, so it doesn't look very bad. So I'll just hit it with some super glue accelerator. We're gonna be very light with it because there is some exposed super glue, and if I put too much on there, it'll ruin the surface finish. Now I'll use the heat gun. It's done. Wow, that is awesome. Super lightweight. This base is a solid piece of carbon fiber, so it's not as lightweight as it could be, but from here up, this weighs nothing. It just flails around. Really kind of funny. And this is stronger than steel. Carbon fiber is an awesome material, made for a really cool stand. This is looking really good. I really like how this turned out. I'm actually going to go take a bunch of photos on my desk upstairs. I'm gonna wait till it's the daytime so you can get a much better look at it. Overall, I'm actually more than impressed with the way this turned out. This was better than I was even expecting. So really cool project. So glad I could do it.